Hey everybody, I am really pumped about today's video. It's going to be on the 96 Triumph Thunderbird, but I'm especially excited about this because I've been looking for a windscreen for this thing for a year and a half or maybe more, and I've searched the internet, junkyards, I mean all over the place. They just don't exist. Well, a friend of mine at Hermes BMW Triumph in Port Clinton, Pennsylvania suggested that I look for Gustafson Plastics in Florida. So I did a little search on them and I found bikescreen.com, and I called the number and talked to the guy and found that he actually makes windscreens in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and for the 96 Triumph Thunderbird. So I ordered one, and that's what we're going to put on today. So I'm really excited about this, and there's probably a lot more people who have these old Thunderbirds that can't find windscreens for them. This is the place. I'll put a link in the video at the description, and you can go from there. I also got the brackets. You can find those different places. I got mine, it was on the back shelf of a Triumph shop. The brackets do exist, but the plastic doesn't. So we're going to go with the installation, and hopefully I don't screw it up. The big difference between the windshield that's supposed to be on this bike and a lot of the aftermarket screens that you see is the Triumph shield comes down around the headlight farther so that it can catch these bottom fork screws. All the aftermarket windscreens you're going to find is going to be above the headlight, and you're going to run into problems with trying to catch bottom brackets to make it stable. So this is what we got here. There's some installation instructions, because what's going to go along with the installation on this is some drilling, because to make sure that it fits the bike correctly, it comes undrilled so that you can get your brackets into the right position and then drill your own holes. That's where the touchy part's going to come in. But Gustafson took the liberty of sending me, well, it should be in the box here, a piece of plastic so that I can practice drilling the holes before I actually drill into the screen itself. So we're going to go through that too. But this is actually what the factory screen should look like, except the size is a little different. I ordered mine 2 inches taller because I'd like a little more protection. But it goes around the headlight, and it has the cutouts on both sides for the turn signals, which you're not going to get in an aftermarket screen. So that's going to look really nice. Lay this down over here on this sheet. Make sure that I don't scratch it up putting it on. And we'll go over the rest of it after I find my test piece. Alright, first up, we're going to put on the hardware. There is a left and a right to these mounting brackets, the upper ones. It has a T-slot type configuration. Hook it in there. Make sure all your wires and cables are out of the way. And that slides the whole way around, and it goes up against the top of the tube. And then I can put this screw in. I don't want to slide it around too much and end up scratching the headlight bracket. So I'll just put it on there enough to hold it still while I put the other side on. And there's going to be some taking into consideration the angle of these brackets. Once I get the windshield held up there, I can see how wide and how narrow, so I don't get them off to one side or the other. I'll use a some measurements, an angle gauge or whatever, to make sure that they're pointing to the right direction. And then I'll take one of these screws out, and the bottom bracket has a bushing that takes up the place of this bore right here. Take this screw out, put this one back in its place, and that'll turn towards the outside. And also this will have to be in the proper alignment to meet the surface of the screen. So it's going to take a little bit of moving stuff around and making adjustments until I find out where it actually needs to go. Then I can hold it up there and we'll mark it for where the holes need to be drilled. Okay, this is my practice piece. I'm going to try and do a couple holes with a 1/4 inch to start out with. Now on this Triumph, it's going to be particularly challenging because the holes that need to be in here are going to have to be 11/16 to fit over the rubber spacers that go in that bracket. So I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch pilot hole, see if that works without chipping or scratching, and then I'll take a Dremel tool and slowly work my hole out to 11/16. So let's give it a shot. This is a 2800 RPM drill. Very light pressure, very sharp drill bit. Just taking my time. Piece of cake. You don't want to put hardly any pressure on it at all to make sure that the bit doesn't grab and crack the material. Alright, okay, Gustafsson suggested a Dremel tool with a fine stone in it, so that's what we're going to use. I got a washer with an 11/16 center, and I'm going to put that right over the opening. It's perfectly centered up so that I can take my marker and just trace around the inside of the hole. Take the washer away. It's even the whole way around, and then take my stone and go the whole way to the outside of the ink mark